The purpose of this molding and casting project is to be able to duplicate one object directly from another one. So in this case, we used a single mold, but for different objects, you can use different types of molds, including multi-molds. In order to make this mold for the duck right here, we first hot glued this rubber duck to the bottom of a plastic container. The reason why we chose this configuration was that so it would be easy to pull out the duck from a large hole at the bottom. So what we did was we mixed 100 of part A and 130 of part B by weight. We mixed it thoroughly and then poured it at one corner of the plastic container so that the mold would be even without any bubbles. We then had to wait 16 hours for the mold to form.
All right, so now for the actual process of making the casts of this rubber duck right here. So after we let this cure for 16 hours, we took out the original rubber duck, which was quite a hassle, but once you get it out, it's good. You just set it over to the side. After that, you take these two materials right here and you mix them 1-to-1 by volume, so just the same volume. Then these have a relatively short pot life, so you have to stir them pretty quickly and give it like a minute and a half, and then after they've been stirred and they're starting to get sort of thick, you pour that into your mold right through the top of the hole, and you try to keep it consistent at a consistent speed and so that it doesn't flow over. Then after that, this cures pretty quickly. It took about 10 minutes, and it's an exothermic reaction, and it was really, really fast. And once that's done, you simply pull your duck out of the mold, which...
Overall, throughout this process, we found it relatively easy, but of course, there were some complications throughout the process. First of all, the design of this duck makes it difficult to remove the head from the actual mold itself. So what we actually ended up having to do was cut, as you can see, the mold itself in order to remove all of our casts. And after that, it didn't really impede the process of actually doing the casting, but there are some slight blemishes on the duck as a result of that.
One of the final issues that we encountered in this process was the fact that the bottom of the ducks were jagged before we sanded and chiseled them down to what they are now. And the reason for this is that the actual mold didn't end where the duck ended, so the top of this wasn't a level surface, which allowed more of the solution and mixture to come up and then thus leave us with this jagged edge that we didn't desire. However, with sanding and stuff, it came off.
Molding and casting is a very useful skill, especially in engineering, because unlike CAD or 3D printing, it's a very quick process once you actually have the mold created. Each duck only takes about 10 minutes to fully form, while if you're 3D printing an object, especially one of this size, it can take a few hours.